The story started 3 years ago as producers of the dairy industry rejoiced that government organisation Food Standards for Australia and New Zealand were finally looking to amend the code of restrictions on the use of raw milk in dairy products. The debate itself has raged since 1986, when pasteurisation became law and raw milk was prohibited from being sold. The main fear from unpasteurised milk is bacteria known to cause things like E. coli, Campylobacter, and brucellosis, breakouts of which have occurred overseas, but few have been attributed or traced to raw milk. Many of these diseases are highly dangerous and some stay with you for life. In extreme cases, children and the elderly are susceptible to bacteria causing hemolytic uremic syndrome, leading to renal failure and death. Though rare, the risk has been deemed too great and thus the sale and distribution stays prohibited. The main points of opposition come from countless rural families and dairy farmers, like Leanne Stewart, who have been drinking raw milk their entire lives. The crucial element, she notes, is knowing where and whom your milk is coming from. The safety and bacterial threat of raw milk stems directly from the cleanliness of the farm, feeding and milking facilities. The amount of testing and control that small farmers have in the milking process should allow for legal regulation of unpasteurised milk, and the choice, as she maintains, should belong to the consumer.
Mornings there's a lot more milk because they're out grazing in the hay for a lot longer. And obviously when you've got feed in the summer, you've got a lot more milk as well. I grew up on a dairy farm when I was young, and we grew up on raw milk. We've drunk it for, that would have been 18 years, have no problem with it whatsoever, loved it. Drink it a lot now. I'm also pregnant at the moment and it is not advised to drink it, but definitely still drink it now and have no problems with it whatsoever. There are specific regulations in regards to the bacterial count in your milk, which is the BMCC, so buttermilk cell count. So trying to make sure that cows don't spend a lot of time with their udders exposed to muddy areas or any kind of open bacterial areas like washouts and effluent and things like that. Other things is cleanliness in the dairy. A lot of the iodine spray, which you spray afterwards, which is the antibacterial spray. We do have a great amount of control here, so it would be nice if we had the support behind us so we can keep up with the demand and try and keep our quality at the same level or even better than other countries as well, just so that we can get a label on it as well, and also can encourage us to keep using it and actually bring in raw milk, as a product. We initially should have a choice in regards to whether or not we can use our milk and raw milk products for consumer production as well.
FSANZ proposal, P1007, began optimistic of the expansion of raw milk use in Australian-made cheeses, but after 3 years of risk analysis, it was narrowed to allowing only a couple more hard-cooked cheeses to the legal list. FSANZ chief scientist, Dr. Paul Brent, outlines the final proposal and the outcomes of the cost versus benefit analysis. He affirmed that the long process was the first step in ensuring future development of the industry, but their main concern will always be public health and safety.
Referring to the proposal that we've got out now, called P1007, we came up with 3 categories of product. So the first category, which is the category that these hard to very hard cheeses fall into, is a category where there are no surviving pathogens in the product. Category 3 products where you've got pathogens that can survive and do grow. And one of the main, products that might fall within category 3 is raw milk itself. We believe that it's far too risky to take raw milk off farm and put it into production. The type of illness that people get can range from a stomach ache to actually dying. So if you get some E. coli 0157, which has happened in the US, you will get deaths, particularly from children.
Dairy Australia reported export sales of $731 million of cheese last year. Alison Bryan, host of the online show Channel Cheese, is one of Sydney's most celebrated cheesemongers. While she says raw milk does not necessarily make a better cheese, it represents a large part of the market that Australia is prevented from competing in globally. The industry is looking for legislative support to be able to compete on an even playing field with the rest of the
I
world.
guess in my opinion, considering the sort of production methods we have here and the testing, there really is no difference in the safety for a pasteurised milk cheese and a raw milk cheese. And I feel that in the Food Standards Code there's provision for other hazardous foods such as sashimi, so why shouldn't there be for raw milk cheese as well? I guess we're all a little bit frustrated by the process on the recent FSANZ proposal, P1007. It's taken about 3.5 years. The change to the proposal is certainly a step in the right direction and we welcome that. I certainly think there's more scope to be looking at cheeses, particularly from the category 2. And I think there's sort of this inherent belief that raw milk is dangerous, but it isn't. If it becomes contaminated, yes, then it's going to be dangerous. But a pasteurised milk can become contaminated as well. I certainly understand that there are arguments on both sides of the fence, and I can appreciate it and respect those arguments. But I guess what we're saying is, well, we just want the choice. If you don't want to drink raw milk and you're aware of the issues, you don't have to, but we do want to have raw milk cheese in this country. Certainly big dairy is not going to start making raw milk cheese tomorrow. That's just a logistic and a health nightmare for them, We're really talking about small artisan producers, often farmhouse producers that just have their own dairy and they're sort of, I guess, an enclosed unit in that regard. And I guess what a lot of us in the industry are saying is, we don't want cowboys going out there and making dangerous raw milk products. That's not going to benefit anybody. What we want is a clearly defined code that's accessible for small cheesemakers or large cheesemakers to be able to make safe raw milk cheese for people to consume in this country.
Proposal 1007 is a further step to consumer and producer choice, especially when Australia has the capability to safely produce these products to the benefit of our own industries. The government's response to the proposal is expected this Friday. Braden Townsend, UTS News.